This year's NBA season is going to go down as one of the most entertaining, most eventful, most craziest, one of the most legendary seasons that we have seen in NBA history. But before I explain as to why I feel that, let's hear that intro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another What's Next on Basketball YouTube channel video. I am your host, as always, Jeremy, and you guys probably already saw the intro to what's going on, so I'm sure you already know. But in today's video, I'm going to explain to you guys as to why I think that this season coming up, that's right, the 23-24 NBA season will go down as one of the most legendary seasons we might see since for a few years now. I'll say it just seems like a lot of promising stuff's gonna happen, and like I said, I'm just gonna go down through a bunch of points. It's not gonna be like, oh, I go by like every single team and what they accomplished. It's more of just like I wrote down some points that I thought of that will happen throughout this season that I know of my knowledge. There might be maybe some records or something that might also happen throughout the season that I just don't know of. I'm sure there's something LeBron probably has to accomplish again, or I don't know, like one of these players is probably doing something crazy when it goes record wise, and even that's like a whole nother story as to what to do there. But I'm only gonna go by the things I wrote down. So let's just get started with the list here that I have.
I know you're goal oriented. So what's next on the goal list for you?
Every time I come into a season, my goal has been the same for quite a while now, and that's to ultimately, raise the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And obviously I know it takes time, man. It's a process, and one thing about me, I'm willing to put the work in to try to get to that point. And we know it's 30 teams.
Entering into this new season, LeBron James will be going into his 21st NBA season, and that's pretty wild. If you guys really want to know how crazy that is, let me actually bring it up here. I was just looking at it. He is now with the likes of, what is it, 5? Yeah, 5 other players. There were 5 other players besides LeBron that have played 21 seasons or more. That's Robert Parrish, Kevin Willis, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, and Vince Carter. LeBron is now going to be the 6th person to ever play 21 seasons. And with how it's going, he might honestly go even higher than that. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends his career with like 24, 25 seasons. Like, this man is just unstoppable. Oh, I shouldn't say completely unstoppable, because obviously throughout the years we've been seeing him get more and more injured. Obviously one of the big reasons that most likely he's staying is because he would love to play with his son. Now, we don't know how many years that will be, and honestly at this point we don't know how many years LeBron has. LeBron, what is he, he's in his late 30s, right? I don't remember his exact age at the top of my head, but it's just, at his age, he should have been, not being bad and all that, but he's still playing at a top level. Because we all know how serious LeBron is when it comes to his body and taking care of it. So obviously he's been doing a very, very good job at that. And I just don't know. Like, this is honestly insane. And of course the Lakers as well. We know that this off season, they really stacked up when it came to players. I told you guys before in my prediction standings, I have them as a top 3 seed. I think the Lakers are going to do fantastic. And of course with LeBron, obviously he knows he doesn't have that many years left in him. And if you guys remember from the post game of, what was it, it was game 4 against the Nuggets and Lakers in the conference finals. LeBron said it himself that at this point in his career, he's here to win championships. So definitely expect him to be serious during this entire season. Now, I'm sure there's going to be games he's going to miss and stuff, and there's not really that much left for him to do. I'm sure there's still a couple records, but he's basically broken the big one, which was like the all-time scoring leader. I think that's the title. But, like I said, it's just going to be, it's just crazy to think that LeBron will be heading into his 21st season. I don't know, man. It's just nuts.
So what time is it?
8 time.
The Milwaukee Bucks. Where do I even begin with this team? This offseason, I've said it many, many times. Every other YouTuber has said it so many times at this point that you guys are probably over it. But the Milwaukee Bucks got Damian Lillard, one of the most phenomenal players currently in the league. I have him as a top 10 player. It's just so crazy to me that they were able to get that guy. And in case you guys, for some reason, at this point don't know, the reason why Damian Lillard went to the Bucks is because during the offseason, Giannis Antetokounmpo had done some interviews basically talking about his future with the team and if he's going to sign the contract extension. And Giannis basically said at this time no, because he needs to make sure that the team looks like, that they want to win, that they're not content with where they are. So he wants to make sure as long as his team is going for championships, he will stay. The Bucks heard that. They got nervous and were like, oh my God, we got to do something because we can't let this guy just walk out on us. Because I told everybody, and I am firmly on this opinion of mine. If the Bucks were to have let Giannis walk away, that would have been the absolute worst decision, not in just NBA history, but in sports history. Because think about it. Imagine you're an organization and you have to tell people that you're one of your number one franchise, that one of the players that was probably your best franchise player ever, walked out on you because you didn't want to compete for championships, because you felt content. Your player wanted to go for more championships for your organization, yours, not someone else's. He wanted to help you guys be more successful. And you just said, it's okay. We got one. We got another one, I think in total they got like, no, I think that was their first. Was that their first one? I don't think that was their first one. I think that was like their second or third. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they were like, oh, we already got a couple championships. We don't need any more. Like, no team or person would ever say that. So that would have been so dumb if they didn't do something, to help Giannis get to that next level. So they heard it and were like, all right, we got you, Giannis. And they traded away, I think it was Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, and a couple other role players to get Damian Lillard. And now the Bucks look like, honestly, I think I remember checking the odds for it. They actually are like, I think the favorites heading, at least out of the East. I don't know if it's throughout the entire league, but I know they're up there when it comes to like top favorites to win the championship. And who can blame them? Their team overall is just stacked. There's not, the only concern I have is a little bit of their defense, but I do think they can easily fix that in some way. Maybe get another player, or maybe some of the players that are already on their team can step up. It's going to be interesting to see. I think for Bucks fans, you guys are going to have a great season ahead of you, so be prepared for that. It is going to be insane to see who comes out on top for the East.
Celtics send center Robert Williams III, guard Malcolm Brogdon, and the deal, a 2024 first-round pick via Golden State and a 2029 first-round pick, is also heading to the Blazers, according to our Adrian Wojnarowski. Stephen A., does Drew now make the C's the favorites?
I believe he does. I believe that he is an elite point guard in this game, in terms of running a team, in terms of leadership, in terms of his defense.
Speaking of teams that are, competitors when it comes to the championship title, the Boston Celtics are looking like other fan favorites. during this offseason, they were able to get Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. And as we know, Drew Holiday is a more recent one. It was a trade for, what was that? I think they gave away Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon, who was just Sixth Man of the Year, by the way. I just want to put it out there. I know they're both very injury prone, but I still thought that was crazy that they traded those two. And you're getting back a player in Drew Holiday, who's had his moments too of injuries, but overall is a great player to have. I said it before in a previous video, but Drew Holiday is that player that you want when you know you're ready for a championship. Drew Holiday is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league currently, and I don't know what season he's heading into, but I know he's getting a bit older. But again, I don't think that's going to stop Drew Holiday. He was definitely perfect for this team to really help them go to that next step. My only concern now with the team that I'll say, to play, I guess, devil's advocate here, is I'm worried about your bench. I said it in the podcast episode that, as of recording this, should hopefully already be out. And I just talked about how I'm worried about the bench. I feel like you guys really need to try to stack up a little bit more. I think you're a little bit weak when it comes to the bench, and I'm worried that flaw you guys have is going to get exposed during not just the playoffs, but I think just the regular season. So that's the only concern I have with them. But other than that, this team just, they just look absolutely crazy. You got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, I believe they got from signing him. Or was it a trade? No, I think they signed him. I could be wrong. I think they signed him, but it's Kristaps Porzingis, I guess Al Horford, and Drew Holiday. So that is a very interesting lineup. A lot of great guys there as your starting five. So I'm very excited to see how this season goes, and to see if this is the trade they needed to finally move on to that next step. For many years now, we've seen them in the conference finals. We saw them once in the NBA finals when they went against the Warriors. Of course, we know how that ended. And I think this is it. I think this might finally be the chance for the Celtics to, move on and finally get that championship that all of them have so desired. And I believe that would also mean that if they get this championship, they will now be considered, I guess you could say, the most successful team in the NBA, because they'll have the most championships. So, yeah, that's interesting there.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
The 76ers are looking very bad, we'll say. That's the nicest way I can say. They're looking very bad headed into the new season. They had that huge situation with James Harden and Daryl Morey, which again, I'm not going to go super into because there's so many things apparently that we might not know behind the scenes. But I'll just say this. James Harden came out and said he didn't want to play with Daryl Morey anymore, or any organization he's a part of, and has just completely been ditching the 76ers and trying not to have as much contact with them as possible. He even missed Media Day, which got a lot of fans concerned, but then he ended up showing on later on during training camp, and we've seen him. He looks fine. He looks somewhat okay. So maybe the Sixers still have a chance at being, contenders. But in my opinion, I think this is a situation that is definitely going to affect their season. Do not be surprised if the Sixers get like the 5th or 6th seed, because they are just not looking like themselves right now. The team overall is just in shambles, and this is just, it's great for me as a Knicks fan, because I'm just sitting here watching this team get set on fire, and hopefully we can get their player in Joel Embiid, which, yes, I don't really like him, but again, if he can play well and can do great for the team, then I'm happy about it. And I said I'll make a whole apology video on it. But I don't think he's a great player in my opinion. But in the grand scheme of things, you can't pass up on an MVP, former MVP player. So that's all I gotta say for that. But back to the main discussion at hand. It's just it's crazy, man. The 76ers, just these past few seasons, have done just absolute they've just been an absolute. I don't even know what the right word to say is. Again, it's just horrible. It's not a great look for the Sixers, and I really, really feel like this is gonna be a bad season for them. I think this is when we finally see like how bad the organization is doing and just how disconnected the team is and everyone is from each other. I can't sit here and tell you guys that I think the Sixers are championship contenders or could win this season when there's so many problems that they're facing. Again, they can prove me wrong. They can work together, get this done, and everything will be all great. But as of right now, I'm very, very worried about the Sixers. And I don't know what they're going to do, because if they don't have another good season, something tells me that a certain star on their team will be wanting to leave, especially after what they witnessed this offseason. They might start getting some ideas.
We are the New York Knicks. 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 Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go.
Man, oh man, this next team. This is the team that I'm obviously going to be rooting for when it comes to the regular season, the playoffs, whatever you want to say. It's the greatest team of all time, the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks headed into this season are in a very interesting position because they have a couple ways for this season to end. They can end off being a top 3, maybe a top 3 or top 4 seed, and just have a great spot when they go in the playoffs. Or with at least how the teams are going, like I said, they again could get a top 3 seed, because there's the when it comes to the Knicks, there's not that many teams that they need to worry about, because overall the East is basically open for grasp. Like anyone can go be a top 6 seed, or at least maybe even a top 5 seed, top 4 seed. Like I said, it's very open in the window. There's only, I want to say, maybe 3 teams that could do better than the Knicks. That's the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Cavs. Yes, I know we beat the Cavs, so some Knicks fans are going to be like, why would I put them up here? But trust me, I don't think the Cavaliers are going to act like that again. They have a very scary team, and I am very scared of them. They have Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Like, they got a lot of guys. Darius Garland. They got a lot of crazy guys on there. But I would say this is about the Cavs. This is about the Knicks. The Knicks, right now, they have Jalen Brunson for another 3 years and has basically become the leader of this team. They got Julius Randle, who hopefully is going to do good after coming off of that leg injury. I think he also got surgery for it and has been healing. So I haven't heard anything about him not starting in the season, so we should see him at the start of the first game. We have RJ Barrett, who has been, he's been getting better and better. But again, we as Knicks fans are hoping that this is the season that he finally unlocks that potential in him and can go from a inconsistent player to one of the most consistent players ever. I tell people all the time, if RJ Barrett can just be consistent with his games, he could easily be a 23, 24 points per night guy. That is something without question in my mind that can happen. The organization obviously still believes in RJ, because there was like trades like with Donovan Mitchell where we didn't give them RJ because the Knicks still believed in him. So hopefully that gave RJ some hope and made him be like, you know what, like this team does believe in me. And he's heading into his, I think, 5th season. I really, really hope he can finally get it. And yes, I know he's still young. I think he's 23 or 24 heading into this new season. So he's still fairly young. But the problem I have is that there's only so many years until we can say, oh, he's still young, give him time. Like in my opinion, I think this is it for him. I think year 5 is where people are really going to judge him. After the end of this season, if he doesn't show what he's made of, people are not going to care anymore. I will obviously still root for RJ because RJ is my guy, but majority of Knicks fans, I'm sure, at this point will just give up on RJ. Some have already given up on RJ. Some, they think maybe he'll be like a 1 or 2 time All-Star and that's really it for his career. And some just straight up think, we should just trade him and it's over with. But I still think RJ has a chance. But not only that, we have Quentin Grimes, who did some incredible training during the offseason, was training with some legends and all that. So he looks like he's about to have a breakout season. We have Emmanuel Quickley, who is phenomenal as always. Mitchell Robinson, who has been looking great these past few seasons. And it's just a great center to have on the team. We have Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo that we just signed. We have... Isaiah Hartenstein? Is it Hartenstein? We have him. We have... Oh my god, why am I forgetting people on the team now? How can I be a Knicks fan and forget people? We have... Who am I missing? I know we're missing somebody, but I can't remember who it is. Let's see. Oh, Jericho Sims. That's the other guy I was trying to remember. Jericho Sims, again, I still feel like if they give Jericho Sims a chance, they can really see that they found a great star player on their team. Well, I shouldn't say star player. I've said it before. I think Jericho Sims' ceiling is all-star, and I think if they give him the chance to really prove himself, he can show them why. But yeah, overall, the team just looks great. The only things, I think, obviously, it was disappointing to see Obi Toppin leave the Knicks, but it is what it is. They had to do some stuff to try to make good trades and everything, so that's how it is there. But overall, I think the Knicks are really going to shock the world. Don't be surprised if the Knicks get like 50 plus wins this season. Don't be surprised if, again, they make a top 3, top 4 seed, and don't be surprised if they make the conference finals this season. The Knicks, this is their season to break out and show people that last season was not a fluke and that you should consider this team now as a scary contending team that you have to worry about during the offseason and the regular season.
With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Victor Wembanyama from Nanterre, France.
Victor Wembanyama is finally here. He is ready. He is ready for this NBA season. He's ready to play at the Spurs. And Spurs fans, I'm so happy for y'all. It's going to be such a fun season for Spurs fans because, it's been a minute for you guys. I think it's been a couple years since the last time you've made the playoffs. And Greg Popovich, I know, is sooner or later going to, call it quits. Maybe he'll stay for a little bit longer now that Victor's here. And now you guys finally have something that fans will be interested in and want to check you guys out. And I it's just great. Victor Wembanyama, he was the number 1 pick of the draft. He's looking like the next generational player, or as the media was saying, the greatest player since LeBron James is the whole slogan that they put on him. And he looks very excited. I saw the interview with him for Media Day, and they were talking to him and how excited he is. He said he's very excited to play this season. He loves the city. He loves how welcoming everyone was. And they said apparently he's wearing like a cowboy hat when he walks into the arena or something. So yeah, he's really happy to be here in San Antonio. And that's just great to see. You have a player that's really excited. So hopefully you guys can make this work. You've had plenty of superstars with the number 1 pick from the previous years that end up helping you guys and became a franchise player. So hopefully with how the Spurs organization is, you guys don't mess this one up, because you guys have just gotten yourselves a guaranteed spot as a future championship team. All you got to do now is help him grow and become that great player that everyone believes that he can be. now that I mentioned it, might as well get into it now. The Western Conference looks incredibly stacked when it comes to their teams. Out of the 15 teams that are in that conference, in my opinion, 13 out of the 15 teams look like playoff contenders, but only 10 of them have a chance to even be a playoff contending team. 4 of those 10 teams are going to be in the play-in, so there's only actually 6 that are going to be 100% contending teams, but the other 4 trying to be contending, but you know what I mean. So that obviously is going to be a huge problem for a lot of West teams because all 13 of them can't make it. So we are going to see a season where there's going to be 3 teams that arguably are going to be considered like snubs when it comes to not making the play-in or even the playoffs, because their team's going to look great. Like when you look at them on paper, if you were to bring them somewhere like honestly the East, they could probably be a top 6 team or at least like a top 8 team. But since they're in the West right now, and the West is just incredible, way better, in my opinion, than the East is looking right now, it's going to be another situation like how it was years ago, and honestly how it's been for quite some time. The West is always notorious for being just the more competitive conference, just because of how many players love to go to those teams. So it seems like that's just going to happen again, and it's going to be another crazy season. We saw it before last season. I think it was with the West, where like the games were just so close to each other that we just didn't know. Like it was so close when it came to the games behind that these teams were. Like anyone could have been the 1st seed, anyone could have been a 6th seed, and that's going to happen again. So don't be surprised if we're talking about this like 2 or 3 months later and we're saying, oh my God, the West is incredible this season. They have so many great teams here and there, blah, blah, blah. Like it's going to be a bloodbath. Like you have like the Warriors, who I believe are another, it's crazy to say this, but I think this is another season where they look very underrated. They were able to add Chris Paul to the team, which I think is going to help them a lot. I don't know if he's coming off the bench or if he's a starter. I don't know, but they look like a team that could, potentially sweep on, go under people's radars and be a top 6 team. They have the Portland Trailblazers that with their team, with DeAndre Ayton, Scoot Henderson, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know if Malcolm Brogdon will stay with the team. I really feel like that the Trailblazers are going to end up trading him later on, maybe probably for some more picks. They have Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony, is it Simons? I think it's Simons. Their team, again, that's another team that could easily make like the play-in. Who else is here that I'm trying to think of? They have, obviously the Kings. The Kings look like they're going to have another great season. It's so crazy in my lifetime to say that the Sacramento Kings are looking amazing. Because for most of my time watching, they've just been bad. They've just been awful. And there were things like, oh, wait until De'Aaron Fox has the chance to shine bright. You guys are going to know he's a good player. And that's what happened. He became this incredible player that I never thought he could be. And we have like the Thunder. The Thunder's another team that I said looks like a future team. And they have the chance to easily shock everybody. I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if they're a top 5 seed. I would not be surprised. Having someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, who's going to make his NBA debut when it comes to the regular season because he wasn't able to do that because of the summer games. You have Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams. You have what is his name? You have Dort. You just have so many players. I can't even name all of them. Like it's just absolutely crazy what's going on with that team. Who else am I thinking of? Oh, of course. How can I forget them? The Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, I don't care what anybody says. Phoenix Suns are the only team that I think is going to challenge the Denver Nuggets when it comes to being the 1 seed. The conference finals this year is most likely going to be Suns versus Nuggets. There's no way. The only other team I can think of that could take that spot is maybe the Lakers. Obviously, there's many other teams that probably could, because, like I said, this conference is stacked. But I really do think the Suns are going to go far. And of course, you have the team like the Nuggets that they have to face that showed how incredible they are. But again, the Suns have planned this. They have incredible star players and an incredible bench around them. Same thing goes to the Nuggets. If we get a series this year of the Nuggets versus Suns, make sure that is on your list to watch, because it is going to be scary. And since we're already talking about them, let's go on right to the Nuggets. The Nuggets are coming into this season as the reigning champs. They unfortunately lost Bruce Brown, but that's really it when it comes to the team. They have most of the team that helped them win this past season, and they just look like they're going to do great again. If not, they look like they're going to do better. They are just another scary team that everyone's going to have to go through. I wouldn't be shocked if they win again. I know people are putting this thing out there that they're a potential dynasty. I'm not going to go that far yet and say they're a dynasty. If they win this second championship, then I'll go as far and say, like, they're a dynasty team. But I'm not going to say yet. I feel like that's too soon to say that stuff. But it is insane to think how good the Nuggets are. They easily showed, like, they destroyed all the teams last season in the playoffs. Like, they made that look easy. And people are trying to say, they are like, oh, well, they had an easy run during the playoffs. Of course. That's the whole point of the whole ranking system when it comes to the playoffs. They're the 1 seed. So, of course, they're going to have an easy route because they worked hard to get that route. They're like, oh, well, they faced the 8th seed. Yeah, because they earned it. They worked hard for it. Oh, they faced the 4th or 5th seed. Yeah, because that's just how it works. Like, I don't know why people are trying to make that as an excuse for this team when we've seen how great they are. There's honestly nothing stopping this team.
Do you feel like you stand in the East?
Where do you think we stand in the East?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
I'd say 3rd or 4th.
All right, then.
I want to hear it from you.
3rd or 4th.
You can't say the same thing.
Why? Next question.
The Cavaliers. Bro, I said it earlier in the video, and I'm going to say it again. The Cavaliers are a scary, scary team. You have Donovan Mitchell that just last season had a 71 point game, and one of the highest points anyone's ever scored. Donovan, we already know, was an top 10 player. He's amazing. He's incredible. And by his side, he has Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland right next to him. They are all playing together. Yes, I know they wet the bed when it came to last year's playoffs against the Knicks. And many, many people had the Cavs beating the Knicks. Of course, I didn't, because I'm a Knicks fan, so I rooted for the Knicks. And it was great to see that happen. They beat them in 5 games, I believe. And yeah, that wasn't great for them. But obviously, they're going to remember that. And now that they have a year under their belt together, it's just going to make them more and more team chemistry better. It's just going to be a scary team all around. They have the opportunity to be, this season, I think, is the best chance of them being like a dark horse team when it comes to championship contenders, because no one's really looking at them when it comes to the East. It's more so, at this point, it's just like that one meme where it's like, which side are you on? The Bucks or the Celtics? Like, that's who everyone thinks is coming out of the East when it comes to the NBA Finals, which I understand why. Like, there's I'm not going to sit here and be confused, act like I don't know why it's those two. But clearly, they have the whole spotlight on them. And you have teams like the Cavs that are also very, very good. And honestly, it's weird to say, but they are under the radar. And again, they're another team that could just shock everybody and potentially be like a top 2 seed, maybe even the number 1 seed, depending on how great they are. Because, it's still the off season. The games haven't started yet. I know preseason games have started. I know today was the Dallas versus Timberwolves game, and I heard that was pretty good. I didn't get to see it myself, but preseason games are starting, so we're gonna get a look at how these teams are. But all I'm saying is that be on the lookout for these Cavs, because if you don't, they're gonna sneak up on you, and they're going to show you why you shouldn't underestimate them. We just mentioned about how easily people are predicting when it comes to how the East is going to go down. So I wanted to talk more about it when it comes to the East and exactly how wide open it is for any teams to do good. Besides the Bucks and the Celtics, and I guess Cavs and Knicks, it's really anybody's game at this point. I think the craziest one is going to be the play-in battle, because I had my predictions here that I'll pop up right now for you guys, because I had my idea on like who I think is going to be in the play-in, and where is it? Here it is. So for me, I have the Nets, Pacers, Hawks, and Bulls making the play-in. But there's other teams like the Orlando Magic, the Washington Wizards, and the Toronto Raptors. You could maybe say the Hornets, but they're not looking too great right now. I think you have a better chance of saying the Detroit Pistons as a team that could, make like a 10th seed or whatever. Like, it's very open, the East. I said it early in the video how the West just looks really, really strong. I'm going to talk more about it in a bit and how I feel about the West. But when it comes to the East, it's just anybody's game. Like, if you have a team that's in the East, just don't, like, wherever they are, where you think they're going to land, just don't worry about it. Root for your team, because they have a really, really good chance at shocking people. Sure, they're not going to get maybe a top 3 seed, top 4, maybe not top 5, but your team has a really good chance of competing. There's teams like, again, the Indiana Pacers, which I think are really going to, shine bright this season, having Tyrese Halliburton, Obi Toppin, Bruce Brown, Miles Turner, Benedict Mathurin. They have some good guys on their team that are going to do really well, because the Pacers these past few years have done a great job when it comes to building their roster. You have the Atlanta Hawks, which I don't know where the Hawks really are. They're kind of a question mark to me as to what the heck they're doing with the organization. But you have Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, who could just one day decide, you know what? Let's become the best duo in the NBA and proceed to become a top 6 team, or the Chicago Bulls. Like, a lot of fans have put a lot of doubt from the Chicago Bulls because they basically brought most of their team back, so there's not really any changes to them. But again, they have DeMar DeRozan, they have Zach LaVine, they have Lonzo Ball will not be playing this season, which is another thing that I have to talk about in some video about the Bulls when it comes to that. They have Patrick Williams, I believe, Kobe White, Alex Caruso. Like, they still have their good players that for most of them were the reason why they had that one season where they made the playoffs and were looking really, really well. So again, things could just connect, and they could also just have a great season again. And then you have the Orlando Magic. I told you guys before many, many times, I believe if they keep this team together, maybe get 1 or 2 more pieces, this is a future super team. Paolo Banchero is probably one of my favorite players now in the league. I've been watching him, since he came into his rookie season, and I said it from the start that this guy is going to be a great player during his career. Because when they said he wasn't playing the summer league anymore because he was too good, I was like, oh no, this guy is crazy. And he's shown that many times. What are we in, his third? Is it his third season? I'm gonna say, I think it's third. He's just looking insane. It's either second or third season, but it's still early on in his season, and I think he's already been averaging like 20 something points. It's just nuts. Like, I don't really know what to say. Like, the Orlando Magic are another team that could easily make the play-in and shock people. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they're definitely going to make some noise. And again, you have things like the Wizards, who have Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, and they're very great players. Kyle Kuzma showed what he's got. Jordan Poole, I know he's going to probably have some setbacks after how him and the Warriors fell off, but he could still have a great season. The Raptors, with their new coach, some new players, they don't have Fred VanVleet anymore. They still have Pascal Siakam. They have Dennis Schroeder. They're still a team where, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they're a lottery team. They still have good guys that they could easily get like a 7th or 8th seed. But again, there's only 4 teams that make the play-in, and then there's 5 teams that don't. So I'm not really sure what they can do. And then, of course, the Nets. How can I forget the Nets? I saw the interview with Ben Simmons. He seems like he's really ready for this season. He said in the interview that he would love to become like the main point guard for them, like the starting point guard. He wants to be that great playmaking point guard for the team that can help them in difficult situations, which I really hope so. I know I make these memes and I make fun of Ben Simmons when it comes to his shooting, but I really hope he can get back to where he was and can become this great player that we all thought he was going to be. Because, you know, he's still pretty early on in the season. I don't even think he's done like 10 years yet, maybe not even 8, I think. So he's still pretty early on in his career. So he has a chance at, changing it around. Like, look at Julius Randle. He was there for a couple years until he came to the Knicks and then became most improved player of the year and now is considered a superstar for the Knicks. So anything can happen with the Nets. And of course, I mean, I know I'm supposed to hate the Nets, but they have players I like. They have Mikal Bridges. They have Cameron. Is it Cameron Thomas? I think it's Cameron Thomas. They have Cam Thomas. Is it Cameron Thomas? I think I'm saying it completely wrong. I don't think that's his name. I think I butchered his name like really bad. Hold on. Let me check here. Cameron Johnson. I said Cameron Thomas. I'm so sorry, Cameron Johnson. But I meant to say Cameron Johnson. They got Nick Claxton. They got Cam Thomas. That was the guy I was thinking of. Lonnie Walker, who I really, really like. I told you guys before. Spencer Dinwiddie. They're another team that could easily like sneak their way into a playoff spot, get like the 6th seed. So yeah, the East is just going to be really, really fun to watch. I can't wait to see how that goes. All right. It's no secret that the Charlotte Hornets are in another team that's just in shambles right now. You have players that are dealing with legal issues, players that it seems like some of them might be experiencing maybe some mental health issues. You have your star player that is out here acting like this is GTA and doing some crazy stunts and just things that are not smart to do. It isn't looking great. You know, Michael Jordan just sold the team, so you have new owners. So hopefully the new owners can change things around and make, for the better, I hope. But on the bright side, they've done one thing so far that's great. Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is doing a patch deal with the Hornets. Not just a patch deal, but a whole like sponsor deal with them for Feastables. Mr. Beast will have his Feastables patch on the Charlotte Hornets jersey starting this new season, which I'm definitely going to try to get one. He will also be like around the stadium. They're going to do like commercials for him during the games. It's going to be interesting to see when it comes to Mr. Beast. And this is just a great thing when it comes to the sport. Because now this opens new doors for influencers. I talked about it before, but I'll say it again. It opens new doors for influencers and trying to do deals for the NBA. So even though this season might not look great for the Hornets, at least you got Mr. Beast. There's 2 more teams I want to talk about when it comes to the Western Conference. And that's the Memphis Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks. Both teams I'm honestly concerned with because you have the Grizzlies where they're, unfortunately, due to things that Ja Morant did, he's going to be gone for, I think it's 24, 25 games, which is a good chunk of the season. That's a lot of time that you will not have your star player. Now, I heard Ja Morant can be there. Like, he's suspended, like he can't play, but I think he's allowed to like go with the team and stuff, still travel with them, which will be nice. But it's just not nice that you won't have the guy. I don't know what these guys are going to do. Like, obviously they have Marcus Smart, they have Derrick Rose that could help. I just really hope this team can kind of try to bounce back and do great just like they did last season, because I do think they could be a championship team, but they just need to work out this whole situation with Ja and really get him focused on basketball, because clearly he's having some problems. I heard he's getting help, so hopefully he's getting that help and he's doing better and we don't see this situation again. But I'm definitely worried when it comes to the Grizzlies this season. I doubt we'll see how good they were last season, even though I want it to happen. I doubt it's going to happen. And as for the Dallas Mavericks, I'm just worried about you guys because I don't really see that much changes in defense. It showed it that past game that just happened with the Timberwolves that you guys had in the preseason. You guys just need players on defense, man. Like, if you're struggling on defense against the Timberwolves, you're having some problems. Like, the Timberwolves are great. They're a great team. But there is a couple players I can mention that I think are better than the Timberwolves heading into this new season. So you really, really need to figure out the defense, because if you guys don't, I still am a firm believer that Luka's gonna leave. And if Luka leaves, that's not gonna be well for you guys. I can't even imagine where he would want to go. And knowing Luka now, I just dropped my phone. But knowing Luka now, especially with, I am positive that Luka saw how that offseason went when it came to Damian Lillard, and saw Giannis Antetokounmpo with what he was saying, and most likely kept that in the back of his head and said, okay, let me just keep this here. I'll write that down in my notes in case I need it for later. So Mavericks, you better start figuring something out fast, because if you have another season that you guys fail, it's not going to look good. And don't try to do the load management again to get a good pick, because the NBA made that new rule that there's no more load management, and you have to play your star players and all that. So don't even try to do that. And that's another thing too, load management for this season. That's really going to change things for the NBA, because now you're not going to see that many games when it comes to teams being like, oh, I'm just going to rest my guys for today just because. Like, no, they're going to play. So hopefully that helps teams too when it comes to their record, blah, blah, blah. But that's another huge difference, and I'm sure it's going to definitely change the league a lot. And yeah, I'm just happy that they did it. I think it was a huge problem for the league that they've been dealing with. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about the load management stuff.
Broke the news earlier that Las Vegas will host an in-season tournament, of course, to be the first of its kind. We've heard about this for a while now. Woj, give me some details. How did this thing come about, and what's it going to look like?
Well, the NBA has been talking about this in-season tournament for years.
Now, the last thing that I'm going to end off this video with is talking about, obviously, maybe the biggest change that's happening this season. You guys already know what I'm probably going to mention. It's the big thing that the NBA has been trying to sponsor. Most fans at this point are kind of just like whatever with it. I myself, I'm just like whatever at this point. And it's the NBA season tournament. This will be the first year of the NBA season tournament. And honestly, I don't really know what to expect for this. I don't think most fans know what to expect. This is just a interesting situation, because the games still matter that you're going to play to compete for this in-season tournament, because they count towards your record and the standings, and also for the tournament. So players are still going to play well. They're going to try to compete. And now that they have things like, oh, you can't do load management, now like players are going to have to play. Like, they somewhat have to take this seriously. And most players, from what I understand, are kind of like whatever with it as well. Some might try to compete. Like, I'm sure a lot of like the teams that know they're not going to win like the playoffs will probably try to do really, really well this in-season tournament. And I'm just interested to see how it goes. Of course, another whole reason why they did this is to get more eyes on the product. And I just, I obviously for the NBA, I hope it works for you guys. But as a fan that's been watching you guys for a few years now, let's see, I started the 2021 season, so this will be my 4th year consistently watching basketball. And I gotta say, this is kind of, skeptical, I'll say. I'm not really interested in it, but, I guess it's something as a content creator, on the other hand. At least it's something I can talk about and, get your guys' attention on. So, be excited about that. That's another big thing. I'm interested to see if players will really take it seriously, or if this will just be another, another game for them, basically. Another day in the office is what I'll say for it. And yeah, with that, we're going to end this video. I appreciate you guys for listening if you made it this far. And, that's just overall how I feel about the season, all the things I'm excited about, why I think this will be a legendary season, even though you guys are probably going to look at it and be like, bro, that wasn't even that crazy that you mentioned. But hey, I got to get that clickbait, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get that title on there, I got to get people, when people see that, they're going to be like, oh, wow, that seems interesting. I mean, in my opinion, I think the stuff I mentioned makes me, very happy for the new season happening. I mean, obviously, basketball is always fun to watch, but this season just seems like it's going to be really, really fun. And there's so many more things that I probably didn't mention that's going to happen this season. And that doesn't even go for the fact of all the records that could potentially be broken. We saw how it went last season when it came to records. Who knows? We could see the most points in a game record be broken, which I doubt that will ever happen because I don't know who would break the 100-point record, but it can happen. These players are getting better and better. They've been doing some incredible stats recently. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to give it a like. Share it with anybody you know. It really helps the channel more than you guys know. And yeah, I'm your host as always, Jeremy. And, I hope you guys enjoyed and see you guys in the start of the season.